Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Mike Zakarian.
Good morning. Welcome back, everybody. The NBA bit. We're back at it. We're back at it. We are officially less than a week away from NBA action, which is very exciting. Who do we got in the chat this morning? I see Sneeps is here. We got Matic Auto Smoke some exactly. Hey, fam, wake up. The NBA bit is on. That's right. Jay Blaze is here. We'll talk a little bit about Saloon. We got the comm man letting us know it's Neesmith's birthday. Happy birthday, Indiana Pacer legend Aaron Neesmith. All right, yeah, welcome back. That's what we got cooking today. Okay, we're gonna talk some Sixers, talk some Clippers. Then we're gonna just do, go around the league a little bit. We'll talk some So Rare, maybe some Underdog, and then we'll get on out of here. Let's do some business up top here. If you missed it yesterday, over on our Elite Fantasy Hoops channel, we had a big old breakdown, kind of celebrating the start of the So Rare NBA Year 3 season. We went over some of the auctions. We gave away some stuff. It was good. It was a good time over there. So if you missed out, we had fun over there. Go check that out. We'll have some more content on that channel coming out later this week, and then we'll be back here on the NBA bit on Friday. Timothy the Toolman Taylor. That's good. I'm glad we got a Tim the Toolman Taylor shout out. We got Skeets in the streets. We love to see it. We also got an early Bandy sighting over here too. But yeah, there we go. That's it. That's what we got. That's what we got for the business. That's the TM, the trademark, the business stuff. Right? I think that's it. I don't think we have anything else to plug. So let's get into it. Let's go to our snazzy new ticker breakdown here yes, there we go. We got a little Sixers scare. I got to tell you, this might be, now that we know that the Paul George injury isn't super serious, right? What we've learned is that it looks like a hyperextended knee. Going to reevaluate him in a week. Avoided structural damage, all that good stuff. I don't know of an injury outside of getting like kicked in the nuts or Draymond being involved, which usually those two are together. That's just a great still shot of an injury, right? It's a sexual injury. I would like to think that I've had an injury like that, getting after it a little bit. But luckily, Paul George was made to be okay. Or looks like he's going to be okay. I thought this was kind of not interesting, but for this to happen right after the big ESPN piece from Tim Bontemps that came out talking about how Joel Embiid is going to be taken on this season, where he's not going to be playing back-to-back. So we already know he's not going to play 15 games this season minimum. And that they were going to do whatever they can to get Embiid healthy into the playoffs. I thought this was it. Listen, if you're a Sixers fan, that's exciting. It's exciting that Joel Embiid is going to try to be healthy for the playoffs and that the Sixers are working together to do that. And I'm probably not the first person to bring this up. Why did we wait till now? Why was this like a really good idea a decade into this? I don't know. I mean, I think like try to be healthy for the start of a playoffs if you're a contending team feels like, it feels like a no-brainer. Yeah, we should all be trying to do that. We should be trying to do that. I was kind of surprised that the Sixers had 15 back-to-backs, by the way, though. I didn't think I felt like the teams had less back-to-backs, and maybe that is less than normal, but 15 still felt like a lot. But it was a reminder, seeing the Paul George hyperextended knee, knowing that Joel Embiid is not going to be playing a ton this season. Also, I think I have another slide on the Sixers. Wow, yeah, there's the piece by Tim Bontemps on ESPN. I mean, it really does put a lot of pressure, I think, on the growth and development of Maxey, though, right? Because if like Paul George... Let me pull this up quickly, but Paul George last season, I believe, played like 68 or 70 games, right? But let's rattle off what he typically plays year to year, okay? So last season played 74 games. Here are the four before that. 56 games, 31 games, 54 games, 48 games. Those are all with the Clippers. So first year with the Clippers, 48 games, second year, 54, third year, 31, then 56, and his most recent 74. So you have that. You have Joel Embiid, who we already know, max. If he plays every single game, if he doesn't miss a game because he landed funny, because the game's in Denver, right? If he just misses the back-to-backs, he's playing 67 games, I think, if that's my math correct, if that's correct mathematics. That's putting a lot on Maxey, who was awesome. I mean, Maxey was incredible, but that is putting a lot of pressure on him because and again, sure, Paul George played 74 games last year, but what's the more likely outcome? That he does that again, or that he does what he had been doing in the previous half decade, So I think Maxi's going to have to be that dude. I know there was some buzz on McCain coming out of camp. I thought Top Shot Tesla yesterday in the Sorare NBA show was speculating that all of that McCain hype is the Sixers trying to drum up trade interest, which I thought was like brilliant tinfoil hat stuff. But I don't know. I mean, it makes me a little bit nervous if I'm a Philly fan. I mean, I still think they're going to be really, really good, but they kind of have to. They have to just be very, very healthy. All right, Sneap's already calling the shot here. Paul George will play exactly 57 games this season. I'm calling it. And Yotza in the chat. Also, what's up, Yotza? I remember when Giannis had the same injury during the playoffs. He played the next game, I think. We're talking about the Paul George injury. Yeah. I mean, Giannis has looked even crazier, though. I actually think I got the clip here from NBA Central, who they stole it from somebody else, so it's crazy to give them credit. But this was like the injury.
Loose ball. Loose ball.
Way. I think he's going to be fine. The Giannis one was crazy, was absolutely crazy. Common Man asked, does the East has way more back-to-backs naturally, or you're asking, do they have more back-to-backs naturally due to travel distances? Yeah, but the West also has to play the East too, right? So wouldn't they? I don't know. Does the Eastern teams have to travel more than the Western teams? I don't know, man. I guess. I don't know. I'm not a geography guy, guys. I'm a dummy. I'm not a geography guy. I'm a dummy. But anyways, that's kind of it on Philly. It was just, I think it's something to monitor. Maybe they get another good Kelly Oubre season. I mean, they do still have Kyle Lowry there too. Like, they have guys that can be like stopgaps for them if one of them misses time. And then in that ESPN piece, which you can see in the slide right now, they did talk about how Joel Embiid called up Andre Drummond, being like, "I need you, man." And then Andre Drummond said, "When the best center in the game calls you, you got to get there." Nick, yeah, it is. I think it is Andre Drummond season, though. If you are in the underdog streets, the so rare streets, I do think we'll see some spike weeks from our guy Andre Drummond, right? I pulled it up yesterday during the So Rare NBA show, but he was dropping like some 50-point fantasy games down the stretch for Chicago when he was getting the start while Vucci Mane was out. And he's just like a rebound machine, right? So even if he has a poor field goal percentage night, he's going to get you like 18 boards. Sorry, we got a cough here. But I do think, yeah, Andre Drummond season for sure. If you're in the fantasy streets, for sure. All right, let's move on to segment 2, shall we? With a little Kawhi conundrum. See what I did with the K's there. Made sure I didn't put a third K in there. So Kawhi's definitely not playing the rest of the. This is also from ESPN, by the way. This slide. Kawhi's shut down for the postseason, which I don't think anybody was super surprised about. However, now Ty Lue is out there saying he's a little bit concerned about him being ready for the start of the season. I was listening to, who is it? Nate Duncan. Nate Duncan does this. I think it's up behind his paywall, but he's been doing this thing where he's basically been having one beat writer from every single team come on his podcast and do like an hour breakdown on things that are going on. And I think it was Law Murray was on talking about the Clippers, and he seems a little bit more positive on where Kawhi's at right now, and that he did undergo a procedure in the offseason. It sounds like they're concerned about knee swelling, but he made it sound like he's going to be good to go. So I don't think I'm freaking out too much. Again, I know I'm tying this back to Underdog a little bit, but if you're doing the best ball stuff, I've seen Kawhi dropping to like pick 50 something. And I think that's too far. I mean, because even if he only plays like 58, 60 games, I feel like that's still pretty useful. Maddie Harrison with a very good question says, in what circumstance wouldn't you be concerned about Kawhi's health for the start of the season? Yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess if he was coaching, if he was a head coach, I'd be less concerned about his health status, I think. But that's about it. But it sounds like he might not be ready for opening night, but it didn't sound like too long-term. I kind of feel like he's probably going to be on the Embiid situation where he's not going to be playing back-to-back. I do wonder, I was just looking at, I think, another ESPN Power Index saying that the Clippers have a 52% chance to make the NBA playoffs. Am I the only one not buying the Clippers like hopium? I just don't see them finishing top 10. I really don't. I don't know if that is crazy or not, but I don't see them finishing top 10. And I just think Memphis and Houston might be the two teams that would catch them. They just look like a bad team. I mean, it's going to be a lot of Storm and Norman Powell. It's going to be a lot of Terrence Mann. Let's get a man hands drop, shall we? It's going to be a lot of Terrence Mann. If I can find it there.
Let me see your man hands, money.
It's going to be a lot of Terrence Mann, a lot of Norm Powell. It's going to be a lot of James Harden. It's going to be a lot of Kevin Porter Jr., which I know.
We're the Porters. We share the crowd of up and down performers. Throwing things in buzzer beater corners. And one of us is playing for the Warriors. We're juniors and we're the Porters.
And a lot of we bought a Zubac. So I don't know. Are you guys? Oh, you know what? We fired up a poll yesterday. Let's fire up a poll today. Let's fire up a poll in the chat, shall we? Let's see. Do the Clippers? We're going to do the Clippers finish in the top 10 once this loads here? Okay, here we go. Let's start a poll. Do the Clips finish in the top 10 in the West? Because I'm not seeing it, man. And maybe that's giving Houston a little too much credit, but I'm just not buying it. Steve says if Paul George doesn't pan out in Philly, the biggest what if will be what if they signed another different podcaster like Mike Zakarian instead of PG. A lot of people, not enough people actually have been talking about that. We need more people bringing that up. I don't know. Does anybody have anything else about the Clippers? I think we're going to spend more time just bouncing around the league a little bit, looking at some of the preseason action from last night as we saw the Celtics drop their first preseason game. Let me pull up some box scores. We can look at this together here as we look at the last couple of days, since we haven't had an NBA bit in a minute since I wasn't here on Monday. Because I was in the woods, man. I was in the woods this weekend in New Hampshire for a wedding. And it was beautiful. It was nice to get away. The dog was loving life. Went on like a 4-mile walk. He was great. He was digging it. All right, let me remove this. Let's go over to some box scores here for the ESPN. Grady Dick was balling. Let's start with that. And again, I'm going to keep tying this back into the dog app, but it's because I'm excited. So last night, Celtics lose a thriller, 119-118 to the Rap City Toronto Raptors. The Celtics had their starters, so they didn't have Drew Holiday got the night off, but their starters, like Tatum played 34, Al only 23, Derek White 31, Pritchard 29, JB 25. The Tatum 3-ball was flowing for a little bit. He went 5 for 14 for 3, 24, 7, and 6. You saw D White there with 23. He also took 14 threes. Good Lord. Peyton Pritchard knocked down 5 shots, and they were all triples. And then JB with 19 as well. But this is what it's exciting for the Raptors, okay? Hashtag we the North, baby, because Scotty Barnes was out there, a little point forward action, going 10 for 17. But what was interesting from Scotty Barnes, we saw this a little bit at the end of last season, started knocking down the triple a little bit, okay? 5 for 9 from 3. He had 26 points, 10 dimes, 9 boards, okay? And then Grady, my man's big old dick, 27 points and 6 boards, going 12 for 21 from the field, only knocking down 3 threes. So it's not like he hit 9 threes, and that's how he got to 27. He didn't give us Sammy Hauser. That was some Grady Dick energy. I like that from G Dick. Baji get the start, Davion Mitchell, no IQ in that game. Let's shout out Mogbo here, who was minus 28 in a 1-point win for the Raptors. Also, Abaji, plus 29. Love to see that. Pirtle, too. 15 and 16. Dub for Jakob Pirtle. Let's go over to Heat Culture here, and we'll do this one quickly because a lot of the starters didn't play. Wemby only played 17 minutes. He had 8 and 7. Beware the Sohan. He had 18 and 11. Okay. CP Triples had 13 and 5. Not a lot of love for Castle here. Only had 6 points and 5 dimes, but I kind of enjoyed what we've seen from Castle so far this preseason. I don't know how impactful he's going to be, but I kind of been digging it. I've been digging it. The Heat had Jimmy Bucks going for 12 and 24 minutes. So again, another Nate Duncan shout out. But this appears to be what the starting 5 is going to be for hashtag Heat Culture. Looks like it's going to be the Jovic at the 4. Butler at the 3, Bam at the 5, Scary Terry and Tyler Hero in the backcourt. And then their guys coming off the bench. So confirmed, right? Jaime Jaquez Jr. I think it's going to be the first guy off the bench. You're definitely going to see some Kevin Love minutes. You're definitely going to see some Duncan Robinson minutes. Those ones are locked and loaded. And then I think Khalil Ware is going to be the next guy in. We've talked a lot about Khalil Ware on this show. And I've been very excited about potentially what he is going to turn into for into the fantasy world, but at least towards the end of the season. So we'll have to wait and see. But this seems to be what their starting 5 is going to look like. And then I saw some Stan Van Gundy was out there spitting, which it's always, you kind of always have to take that with a grain of salt because Stan was fired, right? But was kind of being like, what is Pat Riley and the GM doing in Miami? They are in a win now mode. And they have not built a roster that's win now. He also went out. I also, again, the Nate Duncan podcast, again, when he had the Miami beat reporter on, was kind of saying that they are either going, like they are either, we're going to know early on if they are a contending win now team, or if they're going to be like, hey, maybe we move off Jimmy Butler. Expiring deal, right? Maybe we move off Jimmy Butler and build around Bam and then see what happens from there. So Miami's going to be pretty interesting to watch early on. I guess I'm really just kind of excited about what Khalil Ware could mean to this team because my bags are packed and I'm ready to go. Let's go look at the Buzz Boys, the Buzz City Bitches. The Charlotte Hornets lost to the Bing Bong Boys of the Knicks. Knicks 4-0 in preseason basketball, so that means they'll go 82-0. But our guy Saloon, the Frenchman, who Jay Blaze pointed out at the top of the show in the chat, kind of been sneaky balling. I think when he was drafted in the first round, a lot of people were saying that, this is going to be a stash. Like he's probably not going to impact the game too much until later on. Also, Jesus is my buddy and I need cash now in the chat saying Miami win it all. Let's also remind him that he has Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle as an avatar. So keep that in mind. But our guy Saloon has been out there shooting the 3 ball pretty well so far. In this game, 3 for 8, had 13 points, 8 boards, but it's just been kind of out there each and every night, throwing 3 balls into the ocean. Do we have, I was hoping I could see all of his stats so far, but I don't have that readily available. But anyways, 13 for Saloon. They didn't play, no Mark Williams. He isn't back yet. So it does seem like the starting 5 when Mark Williams returns, it sounds like he's close though, is going to be Miller, Bridges, LaMelo, and then Mark Williams is going to be in there too. And then is there a world in which Saloon gets that other starting spot? I'm not really sure. We'll still have Grant Williams and Trey Mann coming off the bench. There'll be some Cody Martin as well. The Bing Bong Boys didn't really play their starters, so they won this game behind the Sneeze, Precious Achua, Jericho Sims, Cameron Payne, Deuce McBride, and Shamit Face. But nothing really to take away from the Bing Bong Boys. I don't think we need to cover them. Let's look at the Houston Rockets, though, shall we? No, I did see your Van Gundy quotes, but we stopped talking about the Celtics already, Boston Base. So I'm not going to just read them. But yes, he did say that about the Celtics. So I did see that. Let's go to the Houston Rockets, though. 118-98 over the Pellies. Pels didn't really play their starters, their full allotment. Zion didn't play as well either. The Brandon Ingram thing continues to be just bizarre. I listened to a little bit of the Bill Simmons pod. They dropped their I call it comfort food, where they do the over-unders for every single game. I mean every single team, and just we've talked about this before too. Just about how you went. Oh, I forgot to change this, but how at the end of the season they're basically like, hey, we're gonna move off Brandon Ingram, and then they didn't move off Brandon Ingram. So it is a little bizarre. They also, we talked about it last week, but went out there and said that Herb Jones is going to be starting at the 5. We'll have to wait and see if that's real. I wonder if they're just like, we'll test it out in certain scenarios. Precious Hawk too is pretty good, Yotza. I don't know if they're going to be doing it each and every game, but that kind of makes me a little bit nervous about what they're going to look like this season, if that's really what they're doing. On the Houston side of things, we had their starting 5 appears to be what we saw last year in Jabari Smith Jr., Dylan Brooks, Alfie Şengün, Freddie VanVleet, and Jalen Green. I will say, if you're a Houston fan, Jalen Green's shot's been looking kind of nice so far. And if that is, if he's going to roll over what we saw last season and it's going to seamlessly come into play, even with Şengün returning, I don't know. Maybe there's some maybe there's a bull case behind the Houston Rockets. Jabari Smith Jr. did his thing where he didn't shoot the three ball well, but got a ton of rebounds. He had 8, 10, and 5. Jalen Green, 2 for 6 from 3, with 7 for 15 from the field. He got 19. And then the bench, Amin Thompson and Cam Whitmore are two of the more intriguing bench guys on this team. It is a really deep team. I already listed off the starting 5, and then you got Amin Thompson, Cam Whitmore, Steven Adams. I didn't even mention Reed Shepherd yet. He had played 22 minutes and had 9 points. I don't know, man. I don't know what Houston's going to do. Maybe Houston makes a trade. They still have those the extensions that have yet to be extended. I don't know. Could I come up with a better way of saying that? In Alfie Şengün and Jalen Green. So who knows how they handle this? They could also get off Fred VanVleet. Well, move off. Let's not say get off. I mean, they could get Fred VanVleet off if they wanted to, too. You can do whatever you want. It's the South, baby. Actually, it's kind of the opposite, unless they're in Austin. All right, we're getting off track here. But anyways, Houston will be fun to monitor. OKC and Denver. Denver, man, there has been a lot of bad publicity around the Nuggets this last week or two. So, you know what? Whatever you hear from an anonymous GM or an anonymous team or whatever, I mean, I don't think you put too much into that. I don't think you have to worry about that at all. But they are talked about Michael Porter Jr. being wildly overrated. I don't know if he's wild. I think that's aggressive. I think that's a little bit aggressive to say MPJ is wildly overrated. I don't think that's true. But also, Jamal Murray seems to not be in better shape. He left the game. Left it 2 games ago. He left halfway through the game with some knee funniness. And then the next day was at practice, but with bags of ice on his knees. I don't believe he played in last night's action against OKC, but most of their starters didn't outside of Michael Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon. Denver might be in scary town. Though we already talked about how deep the West has been getting, and you lose Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and now you have Jamal Murray, who doesn't seem to be who he was 2 years ago. And that means you're relying a lot on Michael Porter Jr., on Russell Westbrook, on Christian Brown taking a lead. The one bright spot, at least for my bags, is our guy Julian Strawther, who got the start last night, played 28 minutes, had 12 points, 4 dimes. 2 games ago, he dropped 21 points or 22 points, whatever it was. He's looking like he's going to be a real piece for them. I'm going to continue to bang the 6 man of the year drum, even though it's a dumb bet. I think it's a fun bet. So we'll have to pay attention to that. Michael Porter Jr., 5 for 11 from the field. He had 15 points. That's it, though. You look at this bench, man. It's Dario Saric, Konchar. Vlatko Konchar is back in action. DeAndre Jordan. Peyton Watson is still dinged up. It's just, man, it's a weird bench. It's a weird bench. OKC is still pretty good. That's the takeaway from the OKC Thunder, right? They're still very good at basketball. Their biggest challenge is just going to be figuring out who their last 5 is. And is it Caruso? Is it Dort? They're going to be awesome, man. They're going to be awesome. SGA, 3 for 6 from 3, man. Imagine if Shea just starts shooting threes at volume. Insane. Tesla said there's no way they would have given him that deal without injury contingency if they were concerned, right? I don't know, man. I feel like that would have been reported already. I feel like that would have been reported if it was. So, I don't know. Good question. Good question. But yeah, a little bit nervous for Denver. When we did the 89 Cavs show, which I think that's coming back this week on Thursday, I think I had Denver 5th or 6th in the West this season, behind teams like OKC, Memphis, Dallas, and then who else did I throw in that top 4? OKC, Memphis, Dallas. Forget who else I threw up there. I don't know why I'm blanking on it, though. Have you seen the Lively versus Hartenstein Twitter debate? I mean, I think that ESPN Top 100 is the dumbest thing, right? I think we all have to recalibrate how we think about ESPN. Their job right now is no longer to make good content. It's to make content that people yell about on Twitter. Also, man, I gotta adjust the blinds here. It's just to make stuff that you yell about. So they had Isaiah Hartenstein at 88 and Derek Lively at 53. So then everybody is just being how insane is that? And it is insane. That is insane. To think that there is a 30-person gap between 2 guys that basically do the same thing. Now, you can make the argument that Derek Lively's ceiling 10 years from now or 5 years from now is much higher than what Isaiah Hartenstein is at right now. And that's fine. But that's not what this is. They're doing a top 100. And that's such a dumb thing. Like, I think if you blindly put their stats next to each other, you're not going to be able to tell the difference between the two of them. So, like, it was a dumb premise for what they were doing, and then everybody reacted to it in a dumb way. Like, I think if you're out there being like, Derek Lively is absolutely the 53rd best player in the NBA right now, and he's clearly 33 spots ahead of Isaiah Hartenstein, you're on coke. Like, that's not a real argument anybody cares about. They're way closer than that, but it's just also who cares? Who cares? And I'm sorry, Con Man, you might be rock hard for the Derek Lively stuff, but you're also a Mavs fan, so I get it. You're allowed to be, I guess. Boss Bay said I thought 89 Cavs was on Wednesdays. Yeah, I think Steve has to work this week. So that was why. All right, let's keep bouncing around the league. Let's keep bouncing around here. We had Sacramento and Utah. Now everybody, speaking of Viagra, was rock hard after Sacramento made that weird. It wasn't even a trade, was it? Didn't they just kind of put Jalen McDaniels on a boat and said, "See you later"? But everybody was like, well, they moved around some cap space, so they're about to make a big old deal. And then De'Aaron Fox comes out there and says, what does the Fox say? He says, I'm not interested in an extension right now. So I don't really know. I don't know what's going to happen with the Light the Beam boys. I don't think it's a huge deal that Fox isn't ready to extend. I don't know. Maybe he's just playing his options a little bit, wants to see how this season works out with the DeMar DeRozan experiment. But anyways, let's look. Utah Yays win this game. Utah 4-1 to start the preseason. Kings haven't won a game yet. Is Utah better than Sacramento? Coming up next with Mike motherfucking Greenberg on ESPN. Okay. The Sabonis played, and the starters played their minutes. This is actually crazy they lost this game. So Sabonis played 36, DeRozan played 36, Keegan 37, Fox 36. Sabonis 29, 17, and 8. DeRozan 17 and 5. Keegs had 21 and 5. Fox had 22. Should note Malik Monk finally came back. He played 29 minutes. Didn't really do too much, though. That was kind of a bummer for him. So I can't believe they lost this game. Utah. So again, to quote the Nate Duncan pod one more time, it does seem like Utah is doing this starting five. So we're going to have Walker Kessler. Year 3, Walker Kessler Ranger. He's going to be your starting center. Lauri Markkanen at the 4. Taylor Hendricks at the 3. And then George Sex. Sexton and George are going to be your backcourt, which means you have Johnny Collins and you have Jordan Clarkson coming off the bench. They still have Patty Mills, Drew Eubanks, Bryce Sensabaugh. Those are going to be the main guys probably getting some minutes. Juzang's still there. They get the rookie Collier. But Hendricks, I think, emerging into the starting lineup is pretty enticing, again, for our fantasy bags, especially later in the season. But Lowry looked good. He went for 21 points, got 10 of them at the line. Walker Kessler did his rim protecting thing. He had 4 blocks, 10 points, 9 boards. Keontae George, man, 7 for 7 from the line, 3 for 10 from 3. We don't love that, but 7 for 14 from the field, going for 24 points. A lot of Keontae George. A lot of Keontae George hype, at least for me. I'm looking forward to what he can do this year. And I like, it seems like Utah has a clear rotation now. Oh, Wet Like I'm Booked, back at it. We love it. Wet Like I'm Booked. But anyways, again, when we talk about Utah, we talk about fantasy sports. We're not really talking about them winning games. I think that is a little concerning that the Kings lost this game, though. And then let's go to the Warriors, another team that is yet to lose a game. I saw a stat by what's that Hardwood Twitter account? I'm blanking on who that person is. I apologize. Where he tweeted this out yesterday. Teams that go undefeated in the preseason are 11-5 on hitting their over win totals for the season, which is what a random ass stat, but I thought that was intriguing. Warriors 111-97 against the Lakers. So here's the Warriors starting 5 in this game. Andrew Wiggins, Steph, Trace Jackson Davis, Buckets, Kuminga, and Draymond Green. There's been a lot of conversation around, can Kuminga actually get a start here? Can he actually start with them? I don't know what the Golden State Warriors are going to do, but clearly they're still winning games. But if they are playing Kuminga, I think they kind of have to Kuminga, Trace Jackson Davis, and Draymond all playing together is kind of wild. I just who can shoot in this team? It's Steph and then Wiggins, I guess. Wiggins only played 21 minutes, but he's just coming back. We should know too, Melton and Podgod didn't start. So I don't think this will be their starting 5, or they didn't play. This won't be their starting 5. I think you're more likely to see, I do think they want to be starting Trace Jackson Davis. So I think we'll probably see TJD, Draymond, one of Wiggins or Kuminga, not both. One of them will be coming off the bench. And then Steph and one of Pod God and one of Pod or Melton. I do still really like both Podziemski and Melton from a fantasy perspective heading into this season, but we'll have to, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see with Golden State. Lakers side of things, Dalton Connects kind of looked nice this preseason. He came off the bench last night with 21 minutes, went 5 for 13 from 3, finished with 19 points. They're starting 5. This seems like it's what it's going to be with Anthony Davis at the 5 to start. Although, of course, Shams is reporting the Lakers seem to be interested in a big. You got Rui Hachimura at the 4, LeBron, D'Lo, and Reeves with just a bunch of randos off the bench. I wonder, do we think Dalton Connects gets like thrown around in trade talks? Like Lakers are around 500 around Christmas time. And they're like flirting with the 6 to 9 seed. Nice. Do you think all of a sudden people are like, well, they're like Connect for Levine? Who says no? I doubt I think that'd be really dumb for them to do that, but because I think Connect actually helps what they're doing right now, but we'll have to wait and see. Nick says Kerr doing another year of Kuminga in and out of the starting lineups would be hilarious. I really think that's what's happening. Every report I've read coming out of Golden State is they were like, well, we want to start Kuminga, but we also got to start Wiggins because he shoots the 3 ball better. I just think they're like, if Draymond can't shoot, Trace Jackson Davis is not a shooter. So then you're really just left with Steph and whoever else. Also, the fact that they're even considering Wiggins the shooter, I think is kind of crazy because I feel like we haven't seen 3-point Andrew Wiggins in a couple of years now. So I don't know. The Warriors are 5-0 in the preseason. So maybe I'm just way off. But I don't know. Tesla, I shouted you out earlier in the show with your McCain take. I got you. Gave you credit for that. But anyways, there you go. That's some Warriors-Lakers talk. Let's go to yesterday's schedule, too, and just see if there was anything intriguing. We can talk about the Memphis Grizzlies because big boy Zach Edey was balling off the bench, going 10 for 15 from the field, 23-9. Punch your Zach Edey for Rookie of the Year tickets, baby. It's time. It is time. I don't believe Ja played in this game. Yeah, it was a bunch of bench guys and Desmond Bane. Shout out Scottie Pippen Jr. though. We mentioned this when Derrick Rose he was released from the Grizzlies and then retired, but that this might mean Scottie gets a guaranteed deal. 4-year deal for Scottie Pippen Jr. Well earned. Scottie was awesome the second half of the year. Shout out our guy Scottie Pippen Jr. So he gets a deal. The starting 5 for the Grizz is kind of weird. We don't really know what we're getting from Marcus Smart. He's continued to miss time. Although you did see a cute little highlight of him showing Zach Edey how to do some drop steps, which I always think is hilarious. Although of course Smart would know, but I thought that was great. But I'm assuming their starting 5 is going to be something like Marcus Smart, John Morant, Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Zach Edey. I'm getting a little bit nervous as we get closer to the season with my very fun take of the Memphis Grizzlies are going to be a top 3 team in the West. Getting a little bit more nervous as we get closer, but I think once I see Ja Morant average like 28 points in the first month of the season, I'll feel a little bit better. But definitely getting a little tight butt about it. On the Pacers side of things, I mean, Hallie hasn't been playing too much. You just got Obi Toppin. 38 minutes of Jarris Walker. I think that's a fun name to pay attention to. Jarris Walker, who was a rookie last season, didn't play too much. I feel like a couple of things could happen. Either he gets an opportunity to play and gets a rotation spot for the Pacers. Could also see him just like showing some upside and then getting moved towards the trade deadline. I don't know. They just have a lot of guys over there. I kind of wanted him to take the Obi Toppin spot, but Obi Toppin was re-signed, so they're gonna use him. I want to just shout out Benedict Mathurin too, who's been having a pretty good preseason so far. Remember, he's going to probably be their 6th man. Missed a ton of time last season after that season-ending injury, but he's come back. He's had a couple of games where he's scored north of 20 points. He's looked pretty good, pretty explosive, which is pretty good to see. A lot of Canada love. We had Zach Edey, Benedict Mathurin, Nembhard. Nembhard had 10 points last night too. All right, there you go. There's some Pacers. Grizz, let's go over to the Wizards and the Brooklyn Nets. Guys, I'm going to do a mental health check before I even tell you what this take is going to be, okay? Hold on. Here it is. Where's the mental health check?
I'm sorry this didn't come with a hand job. I just don't think it's included in the airdrops. It's stylistically, that's tough to include that in an airdrop.
Okay. What if Ben Simmons is back? What if he's back? I feel like he might be back, guys. Ben Simmons, 5 for 7 from the field, 11 points, 5 boards, 2 dimes in 13 minutes. 11, 5, and 2 in 13 minutes, right? And what I like about this Brooklyn team is that I feel like they can tank without having to bench everybody. They just kind of suck. Yeah, I know, Mark. I know. And again, Mark, I'm not saying that Brooklyn's going to come out here and win 45 games. Nay, I'm just saying Ben Simmons might be a fantasy asset, okay? Or a fantasy ass. I don't know. I do own a lot of Ben Simmons. I do. I'll show it later. But man, I am excited about it. I am excited about the Simmons renaissance, the Simmons that we've been seeing. This team's bad, though. I keep forgetting Dorian Finney-Smith's there, but how long will he be there? I don't think there's too much. I'll just shout out Jalen Wilson here. He played 22 minutes off the bench. He had 14 points. He's kind of an interesting late-round pick if you're still firing around on Underdog. Shake it up. Milton is there. Let's look at the Wizards. They rested both Jonas Valanciunas and Alex Sarr. So they didn't play in that game, so not too much to take away from there. Jordan Poole, though, 13 points, pool party. Bubby Carrington, 8-5, 1-1. I love Bub. They just got a lot of fun names on this team. Tristan Vukovic, Richaun Holmes, the peanut butter and jelly, Patrick Baldwin Jr., Nyshawn George. A lot of names of dudes, guys. Yes, there we go. If Ben Simmons is back, or Ben Simmons back. That's good. I really do. I think I'm just going to put positive energy into the universe, okay? I'm just going to be positive energy for our boy Ben Simmons, okay? Enough of the negativity. This is an NBA centel here, okay? This is good vibes only. Hold on. Tesla back to Z. He said bad scouting from folks that were down on Edey, or jury's still out. I think jury's still out for sure. I think, and again, they mentioned this on a little bit on the Bill Simmons pod. I think Zach Edey is going to be just like awesome in certain matchups. And then I'm sure there's going to be times where he gets played off the court. Like, is Edey kind of an offensive Rudy Gobert, where in like certain regular season matchups, he's just incredible, but then you can actually just like game plan. Wow, Marcon, did you create a new account to get back in here, Marcon? Welcome back, Marcon. But yeah, let's get some Ben redemption shirts. I'm with it. Ben 10, baby. Ben 10. Let's do it. All right, let's see. Anything else here that we wanted to touch on from regular season stuff? Lonzo Ball plays basketball. Lonzo Ball's back tonight, guys. The Chicago Bulls, they basically rested everybody but Giddey in that game, so not too much to take away from them. But Lonzo's back tonight. That'll be fun. Giannis had 24 and 10 in 23 minutes. He's still doing Giannis stuff. Dame 20 and 9. Are you guys in on Dame this season? Do we get a Dame renaissance? Not renaissance. We can't use that again. Dame redemption, Dame. We need something with a D. Dame D's. Game 1 is a week from yesterday. 6 days, October 22nd. I kind of stayed away from the Bucks for the most part from a fantasy perspective, outside of some shares of Middleton, some shares of Giannis, obviously, but I haven't touched Dame too much. So we'll have to, I don't know how people feel about that. But anyways, good to have Lonzo Ball back. I like that. Lonzo's good, man. Lonzo's good. I'm glad we have him back. Redemption. There you go, Reese. There we go. All right, people are in on Dame. Oh, I forgot to close the poll. What was the poll that I did? Do the Clips finish in the top 10 of the West? Let's close this poll. 57% said no. Okay, good. We're all on the same page. Anyways, that's it on Chicago. Please trade Levine. And then let's look at the Clips and the Mavs. Fun game from them. Clips won at 110-96. Obviously, no Kyrie, no Luka. Clay, God, man. Clay, you want to continuing to put good vibes out there, right? For Ben Simmons, also for Klay Thompson. I'm still on Klay Thompson island. I guess it's not really an island. There's more of them. 0 for 9 from the field, 0 for 6 from 3 in 21 minutes. But no Luka, no Kyrie in this game. So I don't know how much you take away from it. Hardy, though. We love a Hardy party. He had 16 points for him. And then you get 20 from Quentin Grimes. I will say, there's so much talk about Klay coming over to Dallas. I think the Quentin Grimes thing is going to be sneaky good if he can stay healthy. That was always a problem. He was solid for the Knicks when he was there. Didn't really play for Detroit. because he was just constantly hurt. But I mean, he is like not as good of a 3-point shooter as Clay, but a way better defender than Clay. And I feel like it's just a good like lever that Dallas is going to be able to press and just like upgrades all around. I think I'm getting more and more bullish on Dallas. I think when I did my early projections of like where I thought the West was going to wind up, I think I had Dallas in like that 5 hole. And the main argument was that I just don't think Dallas cares about winning regular season games. The more I look at the roster, it just makes so much sense. And I feel like they're just gonna win. And I'm on board with like this Luka MVP conversation right now. A little bit hyped. Yeah, Matty Harrison saying, I'm still angry the Pistons included Grimes in the salary dump. Yeah. But I don't want that to sound like I'm down on Clay. I'm still hyped for Clay too. I think this is going to be a good squad. Clippers we mentioned, right? So seems to be this. Ty Lue after this game said this is going to be their starting 5 until Kawhi comes back. So speaking of the Mavs, Derek Jones Jr. revenge game. He had 12 and 4. We bought a Zubac, had another double. You can pencil Zoo in for like 12 and 12 every single game, I think. Harden in 23 minutes had 10 points, 12 dimes, and 3 steals. I mean, I'm getting a little bit nervous about my Harden exposure just because I feel like this team could implode. Kai Jones is having a little bit of a moment here, and I don't really know what to make of it. I really don't. I don't know what to make of it. But he had 2 blocks in this game. I think he had 4 in the game before, 12 points, 5 for 6 from the field. I don't know, man. Is he going to play the backup 5? Like, I don't even know who else they have on this team, right? Unless they go small and play Batum. But I think and PJ Tucker, we know is not going to play. They do have Mo Bamba, but I honestly give me the Kai Jones over Mo Bamba. And then Kevin Porter Jr. Was doing stuff, but man, not a fun watch. Not a fun watch. Kai Jones is elite. There we go. You heard it here first. All right, that's going to do it for the preseason wrap up here. We're going to go ahead and take a look at some So Rare stuff just for a second. And then we'll poke around on Underdog for a hot minute too. But just a reminder, go check out the So Rare show that we did yesterday. That was a lot of fun where we kind of broke down a lot of the what's it called? A lot of the auctions and stuff like that. I still haven't dove in yet. Dove in. We're going to be doing that over the weekend, I think is when I'm first going to go after it. I'm still just trying to monitor stuff as it happens, but we'll take a quick peek at auctions. And if you guys have seen anything weird happen auction wise, put that in the chat. Curious if you guys have been going after it at all. We got Lonzo here on the market right now. Lonzo on the market. Let's see if there's any good ones. Jalen Green. Let's pull up Jalen Green. So he's currently you're bidding on him for $28. It's closing right now. So far his bids have been $27, $50, 31. Oh, that's because it was his jersey cereal. So it sounds like the market is right around 25. There's been a lot of conversations because I'm a big fan of like, hey, we have to wait, can you explain how the WNBA lost Clark? They didn't lose Clark. What are you talking about? Listen, Marcon, you're back. Don't do anything dumb. Just play it cool right here. Mark said So Rare went from not enough competitions to an overwhelming amount of options of lineups. I'm a bit lost at the moment. A couple of people have said that. Excuse me. She's not going to. She's still going to play in the WNBA. I think what you have to do is you're basically, yes, she is. Put down the pipe, Marcon. Too early in the morning for the kind of drug usage you're having. I think what you're going to have to do, and I'm going to do a video on this, you have to approach this as like, for me anyways, I'm building what I think is my very best lineup first. I actually did the same thing with when they would put the Eastern Conference tournaments out there and stuff like that. I would do those last. I'm building my very best contending lineup. And then I might just build like a kind of a wild upside contending lineup. But I'm basically going to have a main lineup in contender and champion on both limited and rare every single week that I think are my best chance at scoring. And then after that, you can get a little weird. And I know it'll be frustrating at times where you're like, oh man, if I just put this one guy in that lineup instead of this lineup, I would have won it all. That's also true when you could only do one lineup. Instead of having a second lineup, it was just sitting there in your training lineups. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think it's going to change too much. I don't think it's going to change too much for you. It definitely feels overwhelming clicking it a little bit more. I get that. And that's why we're starting live before lock at 5 p.m. Eastern this year. You get a whole new whole extra half hour of live before lock. Yeah, bottom line, you actually get paid more. You get paid more overseas than you do in the WNBA. However, I think that is going to change in like 2 years once they restructure the media rights deal. But you actually get paid more overseas than you do in the WNBA. But there's no way Caitlin Clark's like she's not leaving the WNBA. Let's see some Chet Holmgren. He's on the market right now. So his average, yeah, we see 128, then 65, 71, 62, 65. Yeah, there's been a lot of discourse from people that play So Rare football that have been saying, hey, actually, you think that prices start high and then slowly dip for the rest of the season, that actually hasn't been true, that it like slowly comes back up. So I think it's going to go down and then we'll start to rise back up a little bit. Again, not financial advice, of course. But anyways, that's what's so rare. That's so rare for now. Again, we'll have more content over the Elite Fantasy Hoops channel, so make sure you go check that out. And the last thing we're going to do, I'm just going to poke around on the Underdog streets here to show you where we're not going to, I know it says pick 'em. We're not going to put a pick 'em together yet, because I haven't looked at it, but I want to just do a quick check on some of the exposures here. So we're officially through. It's going to say 109. We're officially through 110 lineups so far, but this is going to show you 109. And we'll go position by position. So this, because the Underdog, before we do, let me just check on the side. Sorry. Before we do that, the Underdog Double Dribble closes on Tuesday afternoon. And right now, I believe it's at like 60% full. So if you're still drafting, get after it. We're going to do a stream on Friday about it, and then I'm going to do a long one on Monday as well. But Devin Vassell continues to be my highest owned guard. He's at 26%. Now, I was planning on stopping clicking Devin Vassell, right? Because it sounds like he's not going to be back till like the first week of November. But his ADP, his average draft position, was dropping into the hundreds. So now I'm getting him at like 105, 107, stuff like that. So I'm going to keep doing that, especially because I only think he's only going to miss a week of basketball. And then you got Pod God here at 22%, Bub Carrington at 22%. Keontae George has been my biggest riser in the last 2 weeks. He's up to 22% now. I've kind of stopped clicking Kevin Porter Jr. Grady Dick up around 20%. Cam Thomas at 18%. Bain 17. Simmons, there it is. Ben 10, baby. Ben Simmons at 17%. James Harden, I've been clicking a lot of him. He's at 17%. The guy I wanted to point out, though, is Strother, who I want to just, I know I've talked about him a lot. But we're out here saying that Strother is going to be the sixth man of the year. And if that's going to be the case, man, I got to put my money where my mouth is. So he's at 15%. My goal over the next week is to get him up to around 20%. I think that's my goal. I just like it. It's somebody who's not getting drafted at all. His ADP is 191. I think there's 192 picks in this thing. So he's barely getting drafted. And I just think, man, they need offense, and you look at their bench and they don't have anybody. And if Jamal Murray's going to miss time and all of a sudden he's starting playing next to Jokic, just getting wide open shots, I don't know. For a 16th round pick, I think you could do worse. So I think the rest of the way, I'm only clicking Julian Strother and Grady Dick for the 16th round picks. I'm really hyped on those. Let's go to the wing position here. Wing position is kind of crazy. This just shows you my average draft position start, because I've been so unlucky with Jokic and Wemby and Giannis and Luka, drafting in the first top four, that you can tell I have 24% Jason Tatum and 22% Scotty Barnes, which means I'm drafting 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12 almost all of the time. It's infuriating. But Bilal Coulibaly, he's my main guy at 25%. Mentioned Tatum. Then you got Khalil Ware. Again, money where my mouth is. Hashtag Heat Culture, 22%. And then LeBron James, who I moved up ahead of some guys, and that's why he's at 19% right now. Pascal Siakam at 18. Then Taylor Hendricks at 18. I've kind of stopped clicking Miles Bridges because Nick's been bullying me. Tobias Harris up to 16. The Coos. Herb Jones have been clicking a little bit more recently. And then there's some Middleton, some Jalen Johnson. I had a lot early, but his draft position's gone up so much. So there you go. And then the big position, pretty condensed big position. Mark Williams still at 28%, because now you can get him at 150, which is nuts. It's absolutely nuts that you can get him that late. And then I got Alex Sarr, who I've been talking a lot about lately, is somebody that I'm pretty hyped about. Again, I think that team's going to be bad. I think he's going to look bad, but from a fantasy perspective, he's going to be out there. And then Draymond Green and DeAndre Ayton, both over 20%. Kongu, I was clicking a lot, but this foot injury is a little weird. He's still not back. And then Zion at 15%. We got Triple J, Jalen Duren, and Klingon all at under right at 12. then Jalen Smith, Jakob Poeltl, Hartenstein, AD, Jonas Valanciunas, Nurkic, all over 10%. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm going to try to do a big one towards the big like stream, I think on Monday, like a 4-hour one where we just bang out a bunch of these. So that's the plan. Let's see. Scotty and Grady showed some good chemistry, and Grady took advantage of a larger offensive role given all the injuries. Yeah, man. I think Grady's going to be out there. He's going to be out there. He's going to get shots. I'm excited about Scotty just because the jumper looks good, nice, man. That Scotty Barnes jumper looks nice. Are there any players that will perform better if Trump wins? I don't know, man. Great question. Great question. I don't know. I'm sure there is. I can't think of a joke off the top of my head, though. I'm sorry. I'm too tired this morning, I think. All right, real quick, just a little rundown what we got going on the rest of the week. I'm going to try to get another piece of Elite Fantasy Hoops content out later this afternoon. Maybe it's a live stream, but I think it's just going to be a video. We'll do the NBA bit again on Friday. We also have another show on Friday that will be with our guy Adam Clevenger is going to join the Elite Fantasy Hoops channel for another stream. Oh, Jonathan Isaac. There it is. There's the answer. Good job, Manny Harrison. That's going to be all on Friday. Also, we get a little ambulance, little fire truck early in the morning. Although they shut their sirens off. There we go. Okay, Myers Leonard too. Yeah, maybe he comes back. But yeah, that's what we got going on the rest of the week. Next week, guys, basketball starts next week. And so what we'll have next week, I'm gonna have a watered down version of that opening day show. I don't think we're going to go full 8 hours, but I think we are going to go like 5 hours. And it's going to end. So Tuesday, it'll end with the first live before lock. And then we will, and then we're off and running. We'll have value hunting will return next week. Live before lock twice a week. We're cooking after that. NBA bit will be bumping, baby. We'll be bumping. Boston Base is going to be there for banner night. Love to see it. All right, we're going to call it there. Do me a favor. Go subscribe to the podcast if you haven't done that yet. Let's boost those numbers. Let's just click all the buttons. You know what I'm saying? Click all the buttons. Also, shout out Stevenson Weisberg, who were over on the playback. You go make sure you go join that room. But that's going to do it for me. Happy Wednesday, y'all. We out here. Have a good day. We go.